because they keep thinking that like the elitist or the person who's like a climate change supporter and stuff is not thinking about them. They're thinking about their own problems, and they're left out in the cold, and they're not thinking about the economy and all of those things. But like the fact of the matter is there's a line that you can push to say that you are thinking about all those things and them too. Like they are included in this thought process, you know. And I don't see enough people making that reasoned argument that like, you know what, you might lose your job here, but there will be many more jobs in this different sector, and we will help you get there. Like that should be something that should be more upfront of a message. Like, yes, you might lose your job in this transitional phase, but we will find a way to get you over. Your family will not suffer during this time. Like,
but that's not enough for most people. I don't think it's enough to say, you know, you're going to lose your job and it's going to suck, but you know, we'll help you. And then people say bullshit. And then that's the end of it.
Well, that's the problem, because like they might say bullshit to that, but at least you can say to them, look, I'm giving you a path. The other way is these companies will cease to exist and there is no path, and you'll still lose your job. You have to accept the fact that your job will be going away eventually.
But
whether it's now or it's 5 years down the line, right?
Take climate change out of it and just strictly on an automation standpoint, though. Like you're going to lose your job anyway, right?
Yep.
I don't know. I'm not feeling great tonight for that reason.
Sure. I can't lose. I don't want. I like, people will stop the will to fight from the side of like the people who are trying to progress change if they lose their positive attitude towards like humanity and towards moving towards the future. And I don't want that to happen. You can be negative sometimes, and like that'll be your little like break from things, but at the same time, like that's not a way of moving forward ever for anybody, because nobody will want to hear that negative stuff as a way forward, right? Because that's not really a solution.
Yeah,
that's not how you'll ever appeal to those kinds of people, right?
So I'm reading this report from I don't know, I read UN, but that's not what it is. Who is it? Durban Climate Action Now, whatever, somebody. But there's all this like UN stuff coming out today. I was just talking to Tim about like climate change and that, and how the three levels, the three danger levels now. It used to be dangerous and catastrophic, and now they've added a new level to like a new risk category that's dangerous, catastrophic, and existential. And that's friggin' terrifying.
Yeah, we have to talk in those terms. Yeah.
So who gives a shit video games, to be honest?
No.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, like the video game industry has its own issues that it's fighting through right now. You look at the stuff that happened in Telltale recently, and what's gone on there. It's disgusting. Like I can't even. Like Telltale closed its doors, released its employees without giving them any severance, then goes ahead and sells their property to probably pay off their whatever executive bonus and whatever they need to do to get out of it all. And like, it's just basically, I don't understand like this. If there was ever like an argument for unions and things like that, this is a prime example for it, right? Like that, all of that stuff. Like we're fighting so many battles, but this is a huge thing to me. Like I feel like for anybody in the tech industry, it doesn't matter whether it's in video games or not. Video games have it worse because they tend to bring people in and hire them as programmers based on pride and a love and passion of games. That's always the argument, right? And nobody has a love and passion normally for like accounting software or something like that, right? So, but that's how they get video game programmers to get involved in it, and they normally burn out and leave the whole entire industry, or they have tons and tons of unaccredited hours and stuff like that, and it's all of that is. And you hear the horror stories at Telltale, and they're a prime example. They have had people moving across the country and then like losing their job in the entire company the next day. Basically, they had people who like have mortgages and all this stuff put in like tons of overtime just to ship Walking Dead episode 1, and they're not going to be compensated, and they don't have any severance. Like, is this completely disgusting to me? Like all this stuff. Like, I don't know. Like these are the things that the government is supposed to protect us from. These are the things why we elect certain officials for the government, and it seems like right now we're in a time of greed trumpeting all for whatever reason.
Is that because they know the time's up and it's just we'll be dead anyways? Just ride it out while we can.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think
like it's just complete.
It's always been the case.
Yeah.
I think it's always been the case, but you know what? Like what disappoints me is that for this kind of thing, and the way that we've grown up, and I don't know if Tim, you've had the same argument to you when you were younger. Our parents probably said to us, like, you know what, unions are bad for society, and like somewhere along the line, I had that ingrained in my head that unions are useless. You're paying towards them, and they're just taking a cut of your paycheck, and they're not actually benefiting you and not helping you out at all. And in times like this, you're seeing like those, like a lot of unions are disappearing and everything, but you need those unions to fight for your basic rights. If you're not even having those basic things, if there's not an equal and fair respect for your workforce, then yes, you do need unions to be there to help out. And so, like, even though like I'm in the tech industry and I've been like, my family's been PC most of my life, I've been slowly switching towards a more socialist thinking, because it's you can't rely on companies to do the right thing for people, and it's never been that way. Nobody holds them to the fire unless government has something in there to either put them on the fire, or the workforce puts something together to get unionized and basically fight for their own rights. You know, I'm jealous of your union, Chris, and how powerful it is and what it does for teachers, even though they are handicapped most of the time.
My union's pretty awesome. I'm happy to be in one.
I think there's bad parts, of course. There's pros and cons for everything, right? And yeah, of course, there's different sides of it. But I think, yeah, on the whole, they're a good thing. Otherwise, there's no checks for anything. I mean, you can't, especially in the United States, I think you can't expect the government to be going to bat for your job, your pay. People have to take things into their own hands there. But a lot less socialism there than we have overall.
Let's
Did you record any of that? Because I don't know. I want a lot. I think I said some inflammatory things.
Like what?
I don't know. Didn't I call people idiots?
Are they not idiots?
There are some idiots, I suppose.
I think you overestimate how many people listen to the show.
I guess.
We can talk about video games.
Yes. Let's.
This week, the past 2 weeks have been big for games, but especially this past week. I played a lot of games, and I played a lot of really good games.
Cool. I'm excited to hear it, because I didn't play much new stuff.
I guess we can start back in the end of September. Jackie and I all bought a same game that was on sale for the Switch called Nine Parchments.
Oh.
Nine Parchments is an online multiplayer ARPG. Would you say, Kenan?
Yeah, it's more action RPG.
Yeah, it's kind of it reminds me. It's like a cross between like Diablo Light and Magicka.
And Crystal Chronicles.
Crystal Chronicles vibe for sure, where it's up to 4 people and you move through an area looking for feathers, like quills, right? Mm-hmm. And treasure boxes, and you have your different skills, your different magic spells, and it's cool. Like, I mean, you shoot a beam and the other guy shoots a beam, and then they cross, and then it makes like a more powerful beam that kind of has both attributes of each spell. Yeah, it's cool.
I remember seeing this a while ago. Yeah, it does look cool. Tons
of customization. There's all kinds of hats to wear and staves to hold. There's a whole bunch of unlockable characters and like variants of those characters that have different spells in different orders. There's a lot of content here, and I think what was it, like $10 for us? Is that right?
Yeah.
Which, shoot, I'm down. We played it for a couple nights.
Yeah.
I will love to go back to it. I think Keenan kind of feels the same. It's just a matter of finding the time to do it.
Yeah, I just got swamped with work, but I found, besides all of those games, there was a feeling of cooperation that we felt like from Tomb Raider, Tomb of Osiris, or what it was.
Yeah, it's a good comparison.
So that kind of co-oping kind of game that feels very it clicks together and it reinforces teamwork throughout the game, and it's just a very I don't know, like Diablo seems like the wrong comparison, I think, because there's no looting, there's no like spamming of attacks on something in that way. I feel a lot more along the lines of those other games that we talked about, but it's got a great style. There's replayability to it.
Tons of replayability, like reasons to go through it multiple times.
Lots of unlocks for new characters, unlocking of new staffs which have different attributes, different magic spells. It's just a whole package which is very solid for what it's asking for. It's from the makers of the Trine team, so all those Trine games before. So I think they started with that platforming and cooperative gameplay, and they've moved on to this, and it's a really nice progression.
Yeah, I dig it.
Looks nice.
I don't know if it's still on sale.
It is,
but then I mean, for $10, it's ridiculous value.
And do you need to have online or whatever to play it, or no?
I don't know. It's a good question. I guess so. If only there was some way to be added to an already paid for family account.
All right, I'll think about it. It looks cool. I'd like to play that with you.
I know $10 a year is a massive stretch.
I know it's not. It's not the point.
What's the point? You're going to cancel your PlayStation Plus then?
No. Just there wasn't any reason for me to get it.
Cut down on the caviar.
Yeah.
These fucking fat cat doctors.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah. Those fat cats. Yeah.
So yeah, that's 9 parchments. I also played a game called Astrobot Rescue Mission for PlayStation VR.
Now, did you get that digital, or did you pick up a copy of it?
I bought a digital copy, or sorry, a physical copy.
Okay.
If I can do physical, I'll do physical every day of the week.
Was it pretty easy to find it?
Yep, I had it on pre-order anyway.
Cool.
Everybody talks about this game as if it's the second coming. What's the thing everybody talks about is how it's like the Mario 64
Mario
moment.
64 moment for VR.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I thought about it today. I was like, oh, but everything's closed. I was thinking about it.
I honestly feel like if you have a PSVR, then this is a game you want to have in your library.
Mm-hmm.
It is like I've played it a lot, but my wife has been playing it quite a bit.
Oh, really?
I don't often put the VR headset on my kid, but I did for one level in this, and she was like blown. Like, it's just everybody who plays this thing is completely blown away by it. Like, it's charming, it's polished as shit. Like, it's. Is
the music pretty good too?
Yeah, music's fun.
Nice.
It's bananas. It's such a good game.
Came out of nowhere, eh?
Yeah. Well, just have you played the Astrobot demo thing that came with like the PS?
No, I did not. But you said you did. You remember we talked about that, and you said it was pretty.
And it was fun at that. Like, even that thing was fun, but this is like a way more polished, tidier version.
Yeah.
I have not played through a ton of it. I've only played I think the one thing that a lot of people say that I've been reading is that it's quite short. There's 5 worlds, and I'm done. So I'm probably about halfway through the game, maybe a little bit less. not counting like extra stuff and unlocks and challenges levels, whatever like this, just the main story thing. But each level you play, it feels like a step up from the level before, right? Like every level seems to have like a gimmick or some kind of like surprise where you just, wow, that's different. That's really cool, right? I love the feeling of, so I'm sitting, I have like a little footrest that I use as like my chair when I'm playing VR, so I can sit in the middle of the room and just kind of have the space around me. And it feels really strange because you can't turn the camera around. It's like fixed camera and you move through the level as your little guy moves through the level, right? And you can walk back as much as you want, but the camera won't go back with you.
Oh.
Right. And so the idea is that if I walk him forward and I jump onto some platform or something and I run him through, and say there's like a piece of wood or something that he has to run behind, then I can't see him while he's running behind that thing because my body hasn't moved up with the camera far enough. Right.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of situations where I have to like crane my head to a certain angle or like try to like look under something. Have you played any games where you have to kind of like change your positioning to look over or under something? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like they'll hide secrets in places like that.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
You know, because I took the time, instead of just running them through, I took the time to like arc my shoulders around so I could just get a better kind of vantage point of what was going on. You get to see things that you wouldn't have otherwise maybe caught. Sometimes it's required. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to control them at all. And I appreciate that. There's really fun things. Say if you break a wall, and then you walk down and it looks like there's a shaft that goes way down. I'm like, give it a shot. So you jump in and you slide all the way down. And I have to like, you know, kind of get up a little bit so I can see down the shaft, the diagonally running shaft going down. And he just goes down, 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 farther, 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 farther. Like the sense of depth is so crazy. And to sit in an open room looking in this shaft window and peering down the shaft while he's like all the way, you know, finding one of his friends or something, and then having him run all the way back up really messes with your depth perception. I would say that it's maybe the most immersive game I've played on VR.
Really?
Yeah. That's
saying something.
It's something else. Like, I think that extra level of polish, they put a ton of money into this thing.
Yeah.
And it shows.
Good. Cool.
It plays like that too. Like it really is something else. And I mean, I think that I hesitate because I don't want to say that, you know, internet's full of hyperbole and it's not as amazing as everyone says, but it's really amazing. And I don't want to sell it short. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want to go to like the lengths that some people are going.
Of course.
But in saying that, it feels like I'm criticizing the game for not being that. And I'm not, because it actually is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No,
like I'm trying to like take a half step down from what everyone else is doing,
so
but not as a criticism against it.
Because if you are genuine, you don't want to come out.
Yeah, I'm not trying to shill for the company or anything, right? It's really good though.
Cool.
Like really good.
Dang.
So I would strongly recommend. I mean, I'm gonna assume that attach rate on this thing is gonna be
well, they're selling it with the PSVR now
and Moss, right?
Moss, yeah.
I think that's a great bundle. I think that's and it's cheaper, isn't it? Like $300 US.
Something like that, yeah.
They've also got some deals going on with EB Games right now for trade-ins towards anything on their 25th anniversary flyer and stuff. I'm sure we'll also get a lot of discounts during the holiday season with it, like what we had last year, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a good thing to have, and so you think this is the tie-in thing that we've been waiting for VR, basically, in some ways, right?
I think so, but it's one of those things where I've always had the mind that Sony needs to get out there and make it playable for every single person in every single store they can. Like, get it on the heads of people, because without trying it, you don't understand it, right? Wow. Like, you don't have a sense of how good it actually is, because I don't know, for the longest time, I feel like this is a VR cast half the time we have episodes now. And that started last summer, right? Yeah. Like before that, like VR is bullshit. It's a fad. It's like 3D movies. Who gives a crap? It's bananas. It's so good.
At the same time, Chris, they're the leader right now in VR with 3 million headsets, right? No other one platform can even claim to be a fraction of that amount right now.
Well, it could be even higher if you got it out onto people's heads, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it really is something you have to experience. Like, I've had people over that have never used VR and they put it on and they play it and they're like, this is nuts. This is so crazy. Yeah. And then they leave like, I am considering buying one of these things.
Yeah.
Right? Like having nothing in their mind about it before putting it on their head.
Yep.
Straight to like, I want to spend $400 on this
and get a PS4.
Yeah.
It's the most accessible out of all the VR things.
People who didn't play video games.
Yeah.
Who don't own consoles. I've had people say that. How much does it cost for me to get a PS4 and one of these?
Yep. And I think that Astrobot is totally the game to push that even further.
Well, I'm glad that something came out that looks like, that's AAA again, right?
Yep.
I was waiting for that, and I want there to be more support, and it seems like there is going to be more support, so that's exciting. Very exciting. Because I want that feel, that Resident Evil 7 feel. I want to have something like that level, right? And Astrobot seems like it's that level, budget-wise, polish.
I have nothing but good things to say.
Super excited
so far.
Cool, very nice. I'm so glad you have positive things to say about that.
Yeah, you have to check it out next time you're over.
Well, I might even just pick it up, man.
Yeah, or just do that. And you know what? If I'd love to see Sony get numbers on this thing so that we see more like this. Do you guys want to say something or you want me to keep talking?
No, I can. Well,
let's find a good stop, like break points, and then move on to others, and then go back to you. Does that sound good?
Of course.
Okay.
Is this it, or do you want to go one more?
I can say, how about this? I have another thing that I want to talk about, but the other game that I bought during that sale with 9 Parchments was Heroes of Monkey Tavern for $5.
Mm-hmm.
Been kind of on my list for a super long time. Finally got to a price. I'm like, yep, jumping in. It plays a lot like those like dungeon crawler games of the 80s and early 90s.
Oh yeah, the first person,
right? First person dungeon crawler. Party based dungeon crawler. Yeah. And I love it. It's really fun. It's so short. Like short. It just kind of ended. I'm like, seriously? Like that's the whole game? I think it's like 7 or 8 floors or something.
Someone is saying it's like 3 hours.
Yeah. And it sucks because I was like really invested in it, and like, my characters have cool armor and I'm really excited to plow forward, and then it just kind of ended and I was like, okay. That was kind of disappointing. Like, I liked it, but way too short. And again, I paid $5 for it, so fine. Like, I feel happy enough with it, but it just, I was ready to say this game's amazing, everybody's got to play it, but I can't in good conscience say that because it's that short. That's it.
All right. Well, I got to try the first part of the Destiny 2 raid. What's it called? Something Wish.
Dreaming.
Last Wish.
It's Dreaming City.
Yeah, it's in the Dreaming City. Dreaming City is the area that place is in. It's the special area you unlock at the end. And Dreaming City is really cool. Like, it's a neat place. It's very mysterious, despite it sort of still having that it's an area in Destiny kind of feel, whereas sort of feels like theme parkish. It actually has a lot of cool secrets in there. When I first was there, it was pretty magical, and it still kind of has that feel, and it even changes from week to week. Like, stuff happens. There's a whole story tie-in. Like, the lore for it is really, really cool, and I'm not even into it. Like, I've been asking. We play with Jackie, and he's the Destiny 2 guru guy, and I ask him, like, what does that mean? What are they talking about? And he like knows most of it, so we can just explain it, and everything he says like makes it even cooler. We got to the first. We tried the first part of the raid, and we got the mechanics down as a group, but I think there was just a bit of light level disparity, so we couldn't quite get there. Gareth was being a little bit of a laggard in that regard, but we'll get him up, and we'll take another crack at it. So that was a lot of fun. I've been having fun even with the Crucible, the multiplayer portion of it, like 6v6, way better. It just feels way better than from before. and I'm getting better at it, even though I'm usually the worst in the group. So that's kind of fun. So yeah, it was good. It's starting to feel like a little bit of work because I'm trying to grind and get weapons and stuff in that game that are special. So there's still a lot of that grind that maybe isn't the most fun thing, but I don't have to do it, and it says something that I still want to go after some of those special weapons and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it still. So looking forward to doing more of the raid. Should last us at least, I would imagine, a couple months. The way things are going, it's going to take some time. So there's a lot to it apparently. So yeah, I played not too much else other than, I played a bit of Read-Only Memory. Did you guys see that was for PS Plus this month? So I played it today for like 30 minutes, and then the game was all buggy. Like I couldn't put my name in properly. So I just turned it off and deleted it. Yeah. I was like, okay, guess I can't put my name in. And I tried to look for other people having the same problem, and I couldn't find any bug reports. So it's like, okay, I don't need to play this anymore, I guess. That was a bit disappointing. The music was cool. The aesthetic was all right. I thought, I was actually surprised. I thought it would be a little bit higher resolution, like 16-bit art. It was a little bit lower than that, a little bit blockier. But the music was cool in it. I don't know. I guess I wasn't really in the mood enough to deal with that kind of an issue today to play it. Maybe I'll go back to it another time. But I think it's out on almost every platform now.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we'll see. I don't know. It seemed pretty basic. There wasn't anything about it that surprised me from a standpoint of a point-and-click game. So
well, I mean, it's more of a visual novel / adventure game.
And
right?
there was good voice acting. I'll give it that. Like there's the main or the robot that joins you pretty early on has a pretty good voice actor. So and there was voice acting through most of it. So,
I mean, the appeal that I've heard for that game is the world is very well actualized, and they've thought it through very much.
Yeah,
it seems that came through in the limited.
The writing was quite good. So I was if it hadn't bugged out like that, I would have maybe sucked me in. So and then I played a lot more of Slay the Spire. I'm working on the harder incremental difficulty modes in it. And it's still super fun. I'm getting better at it, learning new strategies. It's good stuff. So,
is the reason you started playing it again because you got talked shit of?
No, I like it.
Okay,
you like it. It's your game to go back to every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to come out on Switch so I can pick it up on that. It would be perfect for that platform, I think. So. And the music's fantastic. I don't know. These kind of games, they have to have decent music. If it's a roguelike that has crappy music, that's a big part of it. Because you're going to be playing it a lot, right? And all the music in that game is super catchy. It's got a lot of different cards, a lot of deck building strategies. There's a lot of strategy that I'm learning as I play that game more and more. So, each difficulty, once you... there's 20 ascension levels, and each one you add adds a bit of a different twist to the difficulty. At one level, you get a dead card in your deck that you have to deal with early on. There's one of the first things that happens is more elites spawn on the map, which can be good or bad depending on what you're doing or where they are, what items you have, or what cards you have. So even that's actually kind of interesting because it sometimes feels OP because if you kill an elite, you get a passive item. A random passive item, which changes how you play, right? So there's more opportunities for builds earlier on in the game, and at first I thought that was an afterthought, those difficulty modes, but I've been watching people play it as well, and seeing people enjoying those, and it seems like there's been a lot of thought put into. They update this thing weekly, and the patches are fairly substantial, and they've been doing that for the last 8 or 9 months, and I would say 6 months ago it was a pretty near completed, I should say, game. So now it's way past that. Yeah, it's still technically early access, but I would say it's really well beyond in a complete state. definitely for the money I paid, it's great. So yeah, probably keep taking a crack at those higher difficulties. It's been a lot of fun. Anyway, that's all I pretty much played.
Have you beaten any more times? Like, because the last time we talked about it way back in the beginning, you had beaten it once per character, and then
I beat it once per character on Ascension 1 so far. And every time you beat it on Ascension on a character, you unlock the next Ascension level, which adds a little bit of a wrinkle. And now they've added challenge. The daily challenge is really cool. It'll be a random set of weird rules. Like it'll say, well, regular enemies drop passive items now. And you can only rest this many times, or there's all these different variables, and it really changes your approach to the game too. And sometimes you can be super OP if you read the particular set that you got right and figure out, oh, if I do this, then I'll totally. So there's a lot of stuff that happens there that makes it really cool. Like it'll be like, well, you start with a mix of cards from all 3 classes, or you start with 50 random cards, or 25 out of 50 random cards that you can pick at the beginning to make a deck at the start. And then some other pros and cons, other rules are thrown in, and those are really fun to do. Like I've been doing those not every day, but I'll go on and check to see if it looks like fun and try and take a crack at it. So yeah, no, it's been good. I'd say I've beaten it, I don't know, 15, 20 times so far. I've definitely gotten more consistent at it. But when you're doing the harder modes, right, then you lose more too, right? Because it starts to be a little more nuanced, and you have to be really, like, you have to learn, like, what's this enemy going to do next, right? You have to start to predict a few moves ahead, and the enemies do behave in a pretty predictable manner. Not only do they call out their attack for the next turn, but enemies have the same patterns a lot of the time. So you can kind of have a feel for, hey, he's going to do his big attack in 2 turns. So as long as I plan ahead, I can use cards that will help me stack my deck for that turn. Like, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of mechanics like that in it as well. So it's good. So I encourage you to go back to it if you feel like it at some point. Yeah, it's good stuff. What about you, Kenan? Play anything this week?
9 Parchments with Chris was the main focus for me for the last couple weeks. And then this past week we've been moving floors in our office building, so we didn't get a heck of a lot of time to play anything. I got a little bit more time to play Spider-Man. I'm going to try and finish that sometime this week, along with still playing Dead Cells, and went back and actually started playing Forza Horizon 3 now, just because all the reviews for Horizon 4 came out, and it's pushed me back into wanting to play a driving game for a bit. And so I went back to 3 and have been enjoying my time with that game quite a bit. It continues to look fairly good, and I'm having a blast playing that game with the way Microsoft intends with like an Xbox One controller and everything like that. And I don't know if you guys know this, but like the Xbox One X controller has different kinds of rumbles in the triggers. So there is some kind of haptic feedback that they emulate through the triggers, and so when you're driving a game in a game like Forza Horizon, they vary the rumble depending on the surface and how much grip you have and that sort of thing. And it's pretty effective in giving you a feeling of force feedback on the triggers, even though there's not actually like true force feedback with a pulley system, right? So it's pretty impressive, that feel of driving in that game and doing that with a controller rather than a wheel. It's perfectly playable, and I find it really interesting, actually. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing, except for we had a little get together today and played a little bit of Super Mario Party.
Oh yeah, I wasn't even going to talk about it. I totally forgot.
Nice. I want to hear about that.
Mario Party. Go for it.
So this is I don't know which iteration of Mario Party.
Super Mario Party.
Super Mario Party, and boy, is it super! This is the most fun I've had with I think any Mario Party. I think the mini games are a lot more solid in this one.
Agree.
I like the river rafting adventure that we did.
You know what? We talked about it on the way home, and I think that's more fun than the main game.
Yeah.
So the river, it'll depend on how many like mini games there are, because I can see how it may get a little repetitive. Yeah. But I had hella fun, and that was playing with like, people who don't know how to play video games. Imagine doing that river thing with like 4 video game people. It'd be amazing.
So that river co-op, it is co-op. You never play against each other, and you guys are just trying to make it down a river with 4 people, and it's like white water rafting. You have to paddle to get to other sides of the river to do pickups or extend your time on the raft, and you play mini games against it's 4 against the computer, and you're trying to add time constantly back on as you're going down the river, and it's a lot of fun. Like it's not competitive at all, and well, I mean it's enjoyable. Like I love the little flourishes to kind of build your teamwork, such as like
clapping your oars together.
Yeah.
They give you bonuses for, it says like ready, and then you got to swing your controller at the same time as the people on your team. And if you swing it properly, if you're playing the board game and it's a team game, then you get 2 extra coins. And on the river raft co-op thing, it gives you 3 extra seconds to get down the thing. Like give you a little bonus for having teamwork, That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It feels very clean. It feels very Nintendo.
Yeah, but the controls in the mini games feel a lot better, I find.
They're good. There's some crazy Rumble stuff they do with it too. I know Tim's a Rumble fan, an HD Rumble fan.
Oh yeah.
But that one game that we did, so there's a fish tank, and you have to, first what you do is it has 3 different fish swimming in the tank in different, like they give off different like Rumble signatures. And you have to feel the 3 fish, and then they close the curtain, and then they give you one of those 3, and that you have to choose which fish it was. Right. So it's kind of like recognizing the Rumble pattern that came out. And that got hard.
Yeah.
It was so difficult. Like I could not tell the difference. And I'm sure that there was, I couldn't tell.
And then some of the other games use the motion in some unique ways, such as the tricycle pedaling one, and like all kinds of things that looked a lot more fun than like some of what I remember from like old Mario Party games, where you're like, for example, I remember in the old ones you used to have to palm the stick in your hand and roll it around and
just like rotate like crazy, destroy your hand. Yeah. Another really fun one that I like is that balloon one was amazing. The Rumble, where you have to, it's like a versus game. So the 4 of you line up, and then you have to hold down A to make your balloon as big as possible, but not to the point of it popping. Right? It'll pop if it gets too big.
Yeah.
But just like looking at the other people's balloons and like, I got to push out just a little bit more, and just like tapping A, just feathering it just to get it bigger than the guy next to you was a lot of fun.
And then there was a 2 of 2 games, like the Bowser face like game, where you're
amazing,
dropping pieces of a person's face in Mario, like their eyes and then their mouth, and you're trying
like a UFO catcher game where one person is doing left and right and the other person is doing up and down.
You're trying to beat the other team for accuracy.
That was pretty good. We saw some pretty messed up Bowser faces today. It's fun. It's good stuff.
The only disappointing part was that we couldn't test out the switch to switch gameplay, because you actually need 2 copies of the game in order to do that, it seems. I don't know if you found anything online, but from what we saw, like somebody had to be like the host client, and then the other person had to join, and the only way to join is if you had the game. So there's no way for you to load the game freely on another system. And
Tim's not even fucking listening right now.
No, I didn't want to cough in your ears, guys. Sorry, I couldn't listen to that part.
There may be a way to do it, but because I don't know, with the connection thing that we saw today, didn't it make it seem like it was just so you had two screens if you were going to play portable or something? Like two people can look at this screen, two people can look at this screen.
I'm not 100%.
Supposedly a way for, yeah, I've heard that.
Well, no, I know how to do that. It's just I really wanted to try that like two switch thing, you know, like the Toads, whatever thing.
Yeah.
So I'd like to check it out. I'd like to go back to it at some point and figure that out.
Yeah. No, that was very enjoyable.
Yeah. She's playing Mario Party right now.
You're making your kid unlock more stuff for you. We're at that stage of parenting now. I'm jealous.
That wasn't Jane.
No, that's my kid.
The other game that I played was Fist of the North Star: Lost Paradise. I wasn't planning on picking it up.
Mm-hmm.
I canceled my Fist of the North Star pre-order and moved my money over to Astrobot.
Yeah.
And so I got Astrobot, and that was great. That was on Tuesday, and then by Thursday night, I was like, I gotta play Fist of the North Star. So I went back and I moved the money. I had like, what's that Kojima idiot game, Death Stranding. I had like most of Death Stranding paid off, and I was like, just move it over there to Lost Paradise. So I think
wow,
this thing up. Well, the game's going to come out in like 3 years. I'm sure I'm going to have some time to put more money on it.
Sure.
So Lost Paradise is made by the Yakuza team. It is framed like a Yakuza story with Yakuza mechanics. It's Yakuza again, just with different characters. Voices are all by Yakuza guys. So Kiryu voices Kenshiro, and Majima's voice actor does Jaggy. Like it's all, you know,
if you play with Japanese on.
Yeah, but if you don't, then you're
I watched people play with the English, and it sounds like a God Hand sequel.
I want to hang up on you right now.
It sounds like great because of that. Like I agree.
I don't want to talk about English anymore.
But it's not bad because it seems like it's God Hand, like the way that is.
So Fist of the North Star, though, I struggle with because I know that everybody looks at it like a joke, but it's badass. Like the comic is really, really good, and it doesn't play itself as like campy or shitty at all. You know,
are you sure? Because I've seen people playing this game. Maybe it's not.
I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about the comic.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about the game.
No, that's why I said the comic.
All right.
It's I think it's got that reputation of being like this campy bullshit thing, but I don't know. I think it's really cool, like genuinely cool. Do either of you guys watch or get into like Crying Free Man?
Yeah, for a short time.
Right? Like it's got that vibe to it where I can see how somebody would make fun of it. Like I totally get it. Especially the cartoon. Like the cartoon's such a joke comparatively. But so this game's cool because I feel like the mainline story is like they play it pretty straight, very serious, but then the side quests are where it goes stupid. And I don't mind that because it kind of keeps it separate, right?
That sounds like Yakuza to me.
It's like Yakuza the same, exactly. So it's good. Like it's made me laugh a bunch of times. It's made me gasp and say, "Oh, that's really cool" a few times. But if you are not a big Yakuza fan, if you feel burned out by the Yakuza formula, which I feel like I'm approaching, and maybe even I think that I've read impressions that say that even if you're not into Fist of the North Star, then it's something that's enjoyable for sure. Because it's pretty over the top. It's very like 80s macho, big muscles and exploding heads, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really enjoying it for sure.
Cool.
I have a few questions for you then. It seems like you're enjoying it now. Do you feel there's a repetitive nature to the game? Like is there actual I guess I'd say new mechanics to the fighting, because it seems like there's a lot of fighting in the game.
Yeah, I mean, and there are things that you unlock. There's actually quite a lot of skills that you can push through. With recent Yakuza games, there's not really a whole lot you can do outside of unlocking new ways to like beat people up. like whatever the like special moves are, where you hit triangle. I forget what it's called.
Yep, heat actions.
Yeah, the heat actions. That seems in modern Yakuza that's kind of all you're doing is making your guy stronger and unlocking new heat actions.
Mm-hmm.
Where with Fist of the North Star, you do change a lot of like what you're doing. It's more like the day-to-day mechanics versus like finishers, you know.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I appreciate that about it, but it is very repetitive. Mini games are very repetitive. The game itself is very repetitive. The story is very repetitive. It's very much. Here's this guy. He's doing a bad thing. Go kill him. Here's this guy. He's doing a bad thing. Go kill him. Like it's super repetitive in every single way, but it's relaxing to play in a way, because it's familiar. It's comfortable. It's a world that I like in a system that I like. And so I'm good with it, you know?
Okay.
I feel like 3 stars is too low. I feel like 4 stars is too high. It's kind of sitting in that pleasant 3.5 middle, you know?
Sounds like a solid B game.
Yeah. And actually, you know what I thought about that term while we were playing it, or while I was playing it. I felt this is good. This is what I want. It scratches an itch, right?
Okay. Do you like some? I've also read some reviews, and some people feel that this is not like the Yakuza team's like A group putting this out. It's more like a B group or whatever, like kind of like how Platinum has their A group. Yeah, or Platinum has like their A group that they put on their own games, and then like things like licensed games like Korra, they don't really have like their core team work on that. They have like a sub team that works on that, and it seems to be felt. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's not so much to do with expertise or quality of who's working on it, and more just budgetary constraints.
Okay.
Because there are parts that look gorgeous. Like I'm surprised at some of the parts. It runs in a very smooth 60 FPS. Like it runs smoother than Yakuza ever has.
Wow.
Which is very, very cool. You do feel a difference for sure.
Huh.
The world is not as realized as Kamurocho is. But
okay.
you know, this is also the first game that they've done, right?
Sure.
Where they've
and it's a manga where you're not going to build layers of stuff usually.
Yeah. I mean, and not only that, it's like a 30-year-old manga that's just, you know, it's pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
But it's cool, and like the driving part is pretty fun. The mini game stuff is pretty fun. There's a modified version of the Hostess Club stuff in Yakuza 0 and Kiwami 2.
Okay.
So there's total like Hostess Club, and it's fucking weird. It's an odd game for sure. There's one mini game takes you to a clinic.
Wait, I want to go back to this Hostess Club for a second, because I can't imagine it with the character designs of Fist of the North Star, because like Fist of the North Star is like it's a pure 80s like Thunderdome hairdo sort of thing, right? Like, and you got a Hostess Club of that.
No, do you know what's funny is that the girls in this game, so a lot of people probably would have trouble with the I don't want to say it's like, you know, over sexualized or anything like that, but it's a product of its original time. Does that make sense?
Like, the story is your girlfriend's kidnapped and you have to go save her. Like it is a princess in distress kind of game.
And there's not really any strong women anywhere in this game at all. I mean, like Kisana is pretty strong, but she doesn't really do a whole lot. Mm-hmm. And Yuria has some secrets that are, you know, there's some interesting stuff happening, but I mean, the hostess thing kind of fits in with what I expect from this game.
Sure.
But it's cool. It's all right. This other mini game takes place in a clinic.
Okay.
And his fighting style, well, I can't remember what it's called. Hokuto, whatever, his fighting style. It like uses pressure points, and like you touch people in the right spot and then their head explodes, right? But it can also heal. And so you go to a clinic and you're going to heal people, and then while you're doing your clinic thing, enemies will come in. And so that's the way they pitch this mini game, where it works kind of like Oendan Elite Beat Agents, where you like have button presses that go along with prompts on the screen to music.
Okay.
And while you're hitting buttons, sometimes, so it's him like zipping around the room. There's a room filled with like patients and enemies.
Yeah.
And every time you do a button press, he either like runs over and heals somebody, or he runs over and explodes someone's head.
And can he accidentally?
Yeah.
No. And it gets pretty intense. It's a weird game.
I saw a part where someone was playing where like all the drink mixing and like chipping away at ice.
Yep.
With the ridiculous, like his voice gets faster and faster and faster the further you go.
Thing. I love, and so one thing that's cool about one of the jobs you can do is bartender, and you're like making drinks for people. And one of my favorite things about that is that he takes like his attacks, the names for his attacks, and gives them like a drinking version of it. And so, Kensho's big thing is like "Omae wa mou shinderu," right?
Yeah.
And so instead of "you are already dead," he says "Omae wa yottairu," like "you are already drunk."
Yeah.
Instead of Bloody Mary, it's Bloodstained Mary. There's drinks called like Uria Eternal. Like it's stupid, but it's funny. It's endearing. It's a very endearing game. I mean, Yakuza's got that in spades anyways too, right? Like
yeah.
And so throw that with a Fist of the North Star skin, and that's pretty much what it is. There's not a lot of surprises in this thing. And you know what? I'm comfortable with that. I'm happy with it. But yeah, I don't know. You know those games that you really like, but they're kind of a hard recommend for some reason. It kind of sits in that camp. I think
for
that people
this 30-year-old manga that's for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand why it got released here. I don't really understand why the localization effort. Actually, funny story, little anecdote. I went in, so I had it pre-ordered, and I don't know if I went in on the Monday to change my pre-order, and so I'm gonna assume that, or no, maybe a Sunday. In any case, a couple days before, and so. When I went on Thursday, I'm like, "Hey, do you have any copies of Lost Paradise?" And he's like, "What? I've never even heard of that game." I was like, "It's for PS4. It's a Fist of the North Star game." And he was like, "Hold on." And so he checked the computer. He's like, "Oh, we do have a few of them." So he like went in the back to get it, and he said that they got 3 copies, and I was the first sell. So I don't expect this thing to make
collector's item. Collector's item.
Yeah, I may not sell this one so quickly.
Oh man.
Support the underdog, right? Actually, you know what? That's why I went out to buy it. I was reading some thread and people were saying like it's a lot of fun, it's great, and it's true. Like this is a game that I didn't expect to be localized, and so vote with your wallet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it got localized. I don't understand why it got localized, but I'm happy it did. Fucking Yakuza.
So, I guess should we end on whether you guys watch JoJo, and do you want to like summarize that first episode?
How do you even summarize like without spoiling? I don't know. I was blown away, and I know I haven't read the manga, so I don't know anything that's going to happen. I have no expectations, so I think that's probably the best way to go into any of it. I've heard that a lot of people don't like this particular part in the manga.
A lot of people do too, though. This is the most popular part in Japan.
Yeah, but Japan, I don't know. That doesn't sell me on it either. But
I agree.
I just liked that because I didn't expect to see familiar characters in it at all, and I liked that Koichi shows up and Jotaro show up right away in the first episode. Even if they're not going to be in it a lot, I have no idea. It's just really cool, and there's a lot of funny stuff in it, and I mean the quality's still there in my opinion. So
do you think that's a push because it's the first episode? Do you think it's going to drop soon?
Well, even I was never. I mean, they did those Blu-rays where they set, where they change things and improve them later, so you knew that they weren't pulling out all the stops right away. But I'm okay with that. They do a good enough job. I wasn't super disappointed with anything that I saw in part 4. So I'm sad I couldn't see an opening, or there wasn't even an ending theme, right?
No.
I'm excited for that. But just the crazy shit that happens even in the first episode was more than enough. And that's a show that's better paced than anything else you can watch. You're never bored watching that show. Like, the episodes don't ever drag, in my opinion. So it was really cool. The powers, I still don't like. That's another thing. I don't know where they're going to go with any of this. I don't understand how the main character's power is going to be that useful. But I'm excited to see what happens with it. And yeah, it's great. A lot of cool callbacks already in the first episode to older stuff that happened. I mean, Jotaro's office was amazing. Marine biologist. It was cool. It was awesome. What did you think, Chris? I mean, you've read it. How long ago did you read that part?
I read it again just recently.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty fresh.
But you said the translation was not good for that part, even now.
That's why I reread it. I got a new translation.
Okay. Right.
I don't know. I feel like I want to kind of not talk about it at all. You know what I mean? Like, there's things that I could talk about, but there's also, like, I just don't really want to talk about it.
Right. It was fun to watch with me, though, right? I mean,
yeah, of course,
because I don't know what's going to happen. So
I mean, and it's also just the of anything else, the thing I'm, I guess, most happy about is just having JoJo on Friday again.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't even really matter how good it is. It's really, really fun to watch.
You're welcome to join us, Keenan. If you can.
It's a cool shared experience, right? Like, I know there's a lot of people that I know that watch this thing, and it's fun to talk about it every week. It's fun to, just, go over events of kind of what happened in each episode, speculation about openings and endings, and yeah, it's fun.
If I watched it on my own, it wouldn't be half the show as if I was watching with you guys, with you and Fanny. It makes a big difference too. So
I hear you. It's hard to follow 4. Part 4 is so good.
Yeah.
I know.
Keenan, did you watch any? How much have you watched of it?
Where was I?
Have we even, like we said, JoJo? Like, if you're listening to this show and you don't know what we're talking about, it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's a cartoon that you might want to check out because it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And they got multiple seasons, and it starts from the beginning. And
yep, you won't miss out on anything.
And why should people check it out, Chris?
You could also start from part 5, though. Like, it's not like you have to. It's an ongoing story that you must have seen all the ones before. Like, it's okay to jump in. Just kind of
you wouldn't know about a lot of that. I would not agree with that.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that. I would just watch from the beginning because I don't know. Like, sure, I mean, the beginnings, maybe I liked it. I liked all the stuff that I watched.
But it's also like over 100 episodes to get here, though.
That's okay. I mean, that's more episodes to watch. Well, that's fine. I mean, look, I don't think the experience should be like lessened if someone's not into it. If they're not into it, then that's cool. You don't have to watch it.
But I mean, just as if you're looking for something to get into, part 5 is airing right now. If you want, like, the communal experience.
Yeah, sure. Right? If that's what you're saying, I mean, yeah, you'd be getting something out of that even if you were missing things for the
you'd be
the background info. But yeah, Keenan, do you even know what happens in part 4? Like, you finished part 3, right?
No, I never got that far.
Oh man,
part 3 sucks.
What's stopping you, man?
Stopping me? I fell off of it. You have to suspend all of your plot questions and stuff on that show.
There's not enough schoolgirls in it for Keenan to.
There's not enough schoolgirls.
I don't think you just suspend your plot questions. I mean, it's not. It's a little more out there, but I still think it doesn't go that far, at least yet, where I go, whoa, that's so ridiculous, and now this show's just silly. Like, it is silly, but it feels right in the universe, right? Like, that's the difference.
If you say so. I mean, like, there's logical consistencies within the show's own universe that like I've asked, and it's just like, well, you just have to accept that just went through, and
yeah,
100%.
And like some people are okay with that, and others are not.
To be honest, Keenan, I'm usually the one that's not okay with it, and it's possible that I'm not okay with it because I enjoy watching it with. Like, I didn't watch any of this. I watched some of it by myself, but I watched part 4 with Chris, and that made it a lot more fun. So, yeah, if you want to watch with me, that might be more fun. But I'd watch it again for sure, here and there. But
thanks for the offer.
Yeah.
Thanks for the offer. Thanks, but no thanks.
Let me know. Let me know later if you're interested. I'll watch it with you. Keep you company.
All right. Thanks for the offer.
There was a new One Piece opening started this week, and you're gonna want to avoid it.
Oh, they're doing that shit again, eh?
Yeah.
On the one hand, you have that shit, and on the JoJo end of the spectrum, you have completely other experience with openings and endings, and that's all I will say about that.
Okay. We're good.
Okay.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.